Pat Fitzgerald was Northwestern football for the past 30 years, but in July the school fired him in the wake of a hazing scandal. Fitzgerald spent the past 17 seasons as the Wildcats head coach. The school has had a largely dreadful record on the field and has had 5 10-win seasons, and he has been part of all but one of them. The Wildcats have had dramatic facility upgrades, but this program has been wildly inconsistent as of late, alternating between good and abysmal. In 3 of the past 4 seasons, they went 1-8 in Big Ten play. The other year, the pandemic season of 2020, they finished number 10 in the country. It's never going to be an easy place to win, and that won't get any easier with the Big Ten going away from divisions, and meaning the Wildcats will no longer reside in the West Division, the one that doesn't have to face Ohio State, Michigan, and Penn State every year. But this is still a Big Ten job and a conference with deep pockets and a place a lot of folks would love to live. The sense here is that Northwestern will have an interim coach for 2023 and ramp up its search into November. It should have some solid options, but Fitzgerald leaves behind big shoes. Here are some potential candidates, starting with New York Giants offensive coordinator Mike Kafka. The dream candidate for the school probably would be Kafka, a 35-year-old former Wildcat quarterback who grew up in Chicago and has risen fast up the NFL ranks. Northwestern has been terrible on offense for a while. Kafka seems like he could fix that pretty quickly, but he's not far from becoming an NFL head coach at this point. He interviewed for a bunch of jobs last winter, so why jump into the craziness of the college game at a place that just canned someone he learned under? Another coach from the Power 5 ranks that could be in consideration for this job is Dave Clawson, the head football coach at Wake Forest. He's been fantastic in the ACC and has won everywhere he's been. Wake is a really tough place to win and has tough academic standards, and he's been a terrific fit. The 55-year-old spent some time in the Midwest at Bowling Green before he came to Wake, where he's gone 19-8 the past 2 years. Clawson's been choosy and knows he has a good fit at Wake Forest. I'm skeptical that he'd want to uproot everything, but if you're Northwestern, you'd probably want to at least check. Another Power 5 coach to keep an eye on is Duke head football coach Mike Elko. Elko, a Clawson protege who has had an amazing debut season in 2022, leading Duke to a 9-4 record. The 45-year-old from New Jersey makes a lot of sense on paper. He played defensive back in the Ivy League at Penn and then worked at Fordham, Richmond, Wake, and Notre Dame before taking over at Duke. Those are a lot of prestigious academic schools. Duke obviously is still a basketball school, and the ACC doesn't have the money the Big Ten has, so Elko is one to keep an eye on. Although if he gets close to 9 wins in year 2, Northwestern probably won't be the only Power 5 program taking a closer look at him. Taking a look at Group of 5 coaches, I would expect Tulane head coach Willie Fritz to be in the mix. Fritz would be a solid candidate. A former defensive back at Pittsburgh State and Kansas, he has had double-digit wins at every level of college football, going 97-47 at Central Missouri, 40-15 at Sam Houston State, and 17-7 at Georgia Southern. If Northwestern is looking to go towards more of a culture builder, then they may want to take a look at Eastern Michigan head coach Chris Creighton. Creighton is about a decade younger than Fritz, but is similar in that he's the mold of Kalen DeBoer, coach of Washington, and Lance Leipold, coach of Kansas. He's a proven winner and a culture builder at the lower levels of the sport. The 54-year-old did an excellent job at some smaller Midwestern programs, Drake and Wabash, and at NAIA Ottawa University. Then he got the job at Eastern Michigan, one of the toughest in the FBS. Eastern hadn't had a winning season in the previous 18 years or been to a bowl game in 26 years. By his 3rd season with the Eagles, he achieved both. In 9 seasons, he's taken Eastern Michigan to 5 bowl games and just led the program to a 9-4 season. A Power 5 offensive coordinator that I think will be on Northwestern's radar is new Alabama offensive coordinator Tommy Rees. Rees, a Chicago native and a guy who got his coaching start as a Wildcats graduate assistant in 2015, Rees knows plenty about what it's like to work in a high academic program, having quarterbacked and then coached at Notre Dame. That would be a big plus. At 31, Rees is still exceptionally young, and his time under Nick Saban only figures to help his career down the road. My favorite wildcard in this coaching search would be former head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers, Paul Chryst. There's nothing to not like about Chryst returning to the Big Ten with Northwestern. The former Wisconsin head coach knows how to build a program, develop players, and recruit the Midwest. He hasn't had a scandal in his coaching career, and he knows how to win. In fact, Chryst as a recruiter should be a selling point for him to be considered for this job. Wisconsin very rarely landed a class with boatloads of 4-star recruits. At Northwestern, given their academic constraints, it likely will come down to finding and developing players rather than landing blue-chip talent. Chryst has done that throughout his coaching career. He took Wisconsin to bowl games in his first 7 seasons with the program. From Wisconsin, he knows how to recruit the area and win in the Big Ten. The last coach on my potential candidates list knows Paul Chryst really well, and that is former defensive coordinator of the Wisconsin Badgers, Jim Leonhard. He's taking a coaching break after not landing the permanent head coaching job at Wisconsin, his alma mater. Despite no formal coaching experience until 2016, Leonhard quickly became one of college football's top defensive strategists. He turned down college and NFL coordinator opportunities to remain at Wisconsin, which ultimately pivoted to Luke Fickell. Leonhard, 40 years old, hasn't shown much interest in leaving his home state, but a Big Ten job not too far away could tempt him. There are some parallels between Leonhard and Fitzgerald. Both were decorated defensive players who enhanced their popularity by coaching at their alma maters. Northwestern would be foolish not to gauge Leonhard's interest. Who do you think should be the next head football coach at Northwestern? Who would you like to see Northwestern entertain? Is there a coach out there that wasn't on my list that you think could be in consideration for the head coaching position? Let us know your thoughts in the comments, and as always, thank you for watching.